for. Let's talk more about ticket prices with Malcolm Clarke, who is the chairman of the Football Supporters Federation. Good evening to you, Malcolm. Thank you for coming on.
Hello, yeah.
The reason we're talking about this, it caught my attention this week that the Manchester City fans had turned down a lot of tickets to go to Arsenal this weekend because they were £62. £62 to me came across as quite expensive when you factor in that they've also got to do a 350-mile round trip down to the Emirates and back and pay for travel, food, whatever. Your thoughts on the Arsenal fans' letter earlier in the season to Ivan Gazidis, in which they suggested that the prices for a Category A game were ranging between £62 and £126 per match, were absolutely over the top?
Well, I think we would completely agree with that for many of the reasons that you've just said. And, of course, the top teams who are always put in Category A, the supporters of those suffer particularly because they may support a particularly rich club, but it doesn't mean that the supporters of that club are rich, and so there's an element of unfairness in that. But overall, I think the level of prices now for some of the top games in this country has reached very unacceptable levels. It's far higher, for example, than the Bundesliga. And the industry really needs to sit up and take notice of this, otherwise it could find a rude awakening round the corner.
How do you make them sit up and take notice?
Well, I think having debates like we're having now is a useful way, and obviously the fact that now there's clear evidence that away support is declining. Anybody who goes to games regularly can see that. Hopefully will make football clubs start to take notice. But we're going to be launching a campaign within the next few weeks, starting with a series of meetings around the country to discuss with supporters the best way of taking this forward. The campaign's likely to be called 20's Plenty. We're talking of the order of magnitude of £20 for an away ticket.
Why do you think that's a reasonable price?
Well, because the industry can afford it. Away supporters are the football industry's best customers by definition. They go to the most games, they have long journeys. But we'd actually want to see ticket prices reduced for both home and away supporters. But if I tell you that next season, under the new media deal that the Premier League have got, they could afford to knock off £35 off of every single ticket for every supporter for every single game next season and still have as much money as they've got this season. That just gives you a feel for the huge amount of extra money they're going to get in. And it's high time that the match-going fan felt some of the benefit of that.
Knowing that as you do and making that public as you have you had any reaction from football clubs to that particular bit of economics?
Well, I think in terms of this debate, which has raged quite extensively over the media over the last few days, football clubs seem to have been conspicuous by their silence, don't they? One hopes that they are sitting up and taking notice, but we'll be discussing with the supporters on a regional basis how best to take it forward. And I hope that supporters will be raising this issue with their individual clubs in their individual supporters forums to try and get some movement on it.
If it was only £20 for every ticket at Wigan Athletic, would they survive?
Well, we're not taking away the discretion for clubs as to what they charge overall. This would just be a maximum for away supporters.
More away fans go than home fans at Wigan, don't they?
Well, sometimes they do. But, I mean, I think the one thing that there isn't a problem in the Premier League is money. No Premier League club should be talking about difficulties of surviving, given the huge media income that they already have.
If they do have a problem, it's because they haven't run their business properly.
Well, yeah. I mean, here, 2/3 of the Premier League clubs reported a loss last year, which is extraordinary when you look at how much money is going into the game at the top. So I think if you say, yes, they're not running their business properly, there's a lot of good reason to say that.
Malcolm, thank you very much. Good luck with your campaign. Do keep us in touch with it, and of course we'd like to hear more from you and how successful you are with it. 20's plenty. Looks like it's going to be an interesting year in 2013.